Gotcha!
Brew crew, assemble. How we doing, people? Should be live now, should be coming through loud and clear. Hope you're doing well this Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. This is the Brews at 10 on my left eye. I'm your host Lefty, and you're all very welcome here this evening. Thanks for joining me. As I should say. Yeah, Solidarity to everyone. Another Wednesday, so it's PMQs as the main event. Who do we have in the chat already? We've got Doc Davies. A very good evening to you. How do you brew? Stu's here as well, and Floor Snake. Delighted to see you good people in the chat. Yeah, as usual, just get warmed up for a little while first. Wait for a few people to arrive. Thank you very much though for hitting the chat with Palestine flags and watermelons so very early on. Do appreciate that. There will of course be talk of Gaza and more on the Middle East to come on the stream. Israel's latest attack obviously coming today on Syria, so not sure if this one was on purpose or not. You know what they're like when they're all thumbs. Maybe they just lent on the console the wrong way, or oh sorry, we gave a voice command to the guidance system. It didn't quite understand us. We were leaving the place, we said see ya, and then the next thing you know there's a load of missiles on the way to Syria. This is just the way that technology goes, you know.
Whoopsie daisy!
No, of course this time it was on purpose, but as always completely unjustified. And I'll be talking a bit more about that after PMQs. A few other stories as well, including, I'm very pleased to say, people, some extraordinarily good news. At first I thought, oh no, this is quite dubious. Had to do a little bit of further investigating. But all will be revealed Suffice it to say, I don't believe the mainstream media outlets will be clambering over themselves to get this story out there first, so it could be a you heard it here first. If you've not come across the story on social media, but no hints, no spoilers whatsoever. I'm sure that, like me, when you find out, you'll be absolutely delighted. So it's not all doom scrolling tonight. We might get a few laughs, and not just the expensive technical glitches that, well, let's be honest, make it look like Wes Streeting's masturbating in a select committee if you were watching last night. Had to edit that bit out as well, of course, as the clip of my friend Rosa Hicks, who was making a statement before her sentencing, one of my JSO friends. So if you have watched those back later, I did trim out those parts. But it was funny. No, Wesley, this isn't the time or place. You're in a select committee. He's been possessed. Yeah, that was funny last night. Graham storming into the chats with a super chat. Very good evening to you too. Solidari-Tea, and a shout out for the flags and watermelons as well. Great stuff. I'll just give that some love and appreciation. Big up Graham in the chat, people. Please do hit the thumbs up on that super chat. Oh, there we go. Had to try 3 times to hit thumbs up there because 2 new comments came in. Just moved out the way every time I went to. Anyway, thank you very much again for that, Graham. Solidarity, awesome stuff. Speaking of awesome people, these are the current members on the channel. Which I believe does include Graham and others, and plenty of other people I can see in the chat. Thanks again, everybody. Yeah, and whether it's with the membership for yourself or gifting to others or super chat and super thanks, which are available if you're watching back later on, do appreciate all of the support that goes to help sustain the channel and bring you more quality content. Thank you very much, everybody. Marvellous members. Alright. Now, time to let your voices be heard and your names be seen. There we are. And can see that Mobius has gifted a membership as well. Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much. And it went, what a shot. Great shots. That one going to Chris, who's a long-term viewer on the channel. Thanks again for that, Mo. And for your continued contributions as well as a long-term viewer. Bullseye. So do enjoy. We might see Chris popping along shortly if he's not with us already. I think there are 1 or 2 other socialist channels in the UK streaming at the same time. But thank you very much for joining me here on What You Whistle Wednesday. Which we'll see part 2 of the contest in Keith's catchphrases between the phrase black hole and change, with the latter of those being the victor last week, so another success would see black hole bowing out. High tension, high drama. Another story after that as well, of course, these 4 Labour MPs who've had the whip removed, been suspended by Labour over the voting rebellion against welfare, air quotes, reform. More commonly known as kicking pensioners and the disabled while they're down. More about that, as well as how, you know, it really does show how thin-skinned Starmer is, and if anyone's been following a couple of posts and comments I made on Blue Sky and stuff earlier, I just think it's absolutely despicable. He's, yeah, this knee-jerk reaction, he's not self-aware at all as to what the actual cause of his polling woes is. So just bring up the membership goal there now as well. We're still on exactly the same as yesterday, with the exact same members as yesterday, so 106 out of the new target, which we're running on this week, of 250. That's not for the week. I mean, if we can get to 250 this week, that'll be awesome, but try and be realistic. Thank you very much, though, to all 106 of you. That's 107 now, actually, with Mobius's. So, ever forward. Doc, you're disappointed it was only 4 suspended MPs. Yeah, well, I'll get into the I'll get into that in more detail after PMQs. One thing I will say though is, before the votes, with there being so many obvious like internal rebels, just thought obviously you can't suspend them all. It'd be a bit of a different situation from when Zara Sultana was originally suspended along with others for how they voted last year. Yeah, so we'll get into that in a more granular detail. Do have a comedy clip that will be coming up in a moment or two. Then into Keith's catchphrases, and on to the stories, clips and articles, so on and so forth. Can you dig it, people? Can you dig it? Note to self, I need to turn that into one of my little clips that I do. I think that'd be a good idea. What do you think, Death?
Damn right!
Okay, we'll go for it. I was going... Oh, just one thing, very quickly. Forgot to announce the official result of the poll before we came off the stream yesterday, but it hadn't changed from any of the updates that I gave during the stream. The clear winner as to who you might think about voting for at the next general election was the still as yet unnamed, unformed, officially, New Left Party. I was speaking a bit more about them later on. Is that a Warriors quote? I don't know what you're talking about. No. Wink, wink. I don't know what you're talking about. No idea.
What?
Wait a minute. Sorry, that's better. Got 2 copies of the same clip in my sources. Let's keep things tidy. Well, there is a character in Warriors, not that I'm familiar with it at all. Someone in the chat whose name sounds a little bit like that character that I wasn't quoting. Yeah? There's your cryptic crossword clue for the day. It's not a contest. I don't want to be getting emails or anything. Speaking of email, speaking of internet communication, please do check out our social media as well at My Left Eye UK on Blue Sky, preferably Blue Sky, but also on Twitter and another newly developing social media platform known as Mastodon. Can you count, suckers? Right, let's get into clips and stuff, starting with something light-hearted, which I do prefer to do when I can. So, another great one from Noreen Skinner, appropriately as Rachel Reeves, who I'm sure will be featuring on our screens momentarily. Not heard from Noreen Skinner for a while. That is, I've not seen any content. Don't know her in person, but this is definitely my favourite impersonation that she does, the Rachel Reeves ones. So check this out if you've not seen it already. Quality.
Hello, it's me, Rachel Reeves. I have a few updates to help with growth. As of today, I can confirm that there are now going to be 3 new policies in the UK. Number 1. Anybody that has been in the sun and has a tan or sunburn from the heat wave now has to pay tan tax at 25% APR plus VAT. You've clearly had time on your hands and can afford it. So now it's time to burn a hole in your wallet. Number 2. Anybody that's on a diet to get a summer body now has to pay diet tax at 50% LIDL plus RAC. I want to go on a diet, but I'm too stressed. Now, it's not jealousy, it's just fair is fair. Finally, number 3. Anybody who doesn't cry in their places of work once per month in front of people now has to pay happy tax at 90% FBI plus double Ds. I'm a human woman and I can cry, so cry with me or pay. Look who's laughing now. Ha 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 ha. So there you go, this will improve the country, and I will be back next week with some new policies in my devotion to this country. Goodbye. It's okay to cry. Cry with me.
The fantastic Noreen Skinner there. Do check out Noreen Skinner Comedy on those social media sources at Noreen Skinner. Wonderful. Yeah, she could actually fill in for Rachel Reeves in a mainstream media interview. I don't think people would really notice, to be honest. To be frank, I was at one point going to do a Rachel Reeves episode of the Pat McFadden Experience, but I don't think I can improve on that. Plus, I prefer to do ones where no one famously sort of also does an impression, because then you might not realise how shit ours are. So, Noreen Skinner, once again, people. And Davinia has joined us from Turf Wars. Oh, you just come over from there, it wasn't a raid. Good to see you though. Hope you're brewing well this evening. Okay, on to PMQs in just a moment, people. Just gotta check a couple of settings. Okay, we're all good to go. Okay, stand by, people. It's another episode of Keith's Catchphrases.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole. Plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yep, so very simple. We've got two phrases against one another. We keep count of how many times they're mentioned during PMQs. It's more or less as simple as that, but there are some rules, a few conditions. That's not the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. So they have to be spoken by Starmer, the contending phrases. They get knocked out after 2 losses in a row, so this week Black Hole could be shuffling on if it suffers another defeat against Change, which are the 2 contending phrases at the moment. Finally, slight variations are allowed, including past future tenses, pluralisation and so on. When we hear Keith say one of the phrases, we hear this noise, and then we'll either see Black Hole, which is normally preceded by 22 billion, of course, and Change, which, if we are seeing anything of, isn't for the better, and that's certainly reflected in the latest polls, as we've been talking about lately. I've got a new one to take a look at after PMQs as well, so everybody down with the rules and everything. There's also a secret bonus appearance anytime the NHS gets mentioned. You generally find the camera cuts away to West Streeting, so we always like to remind ourselves that Keir Starmer and West Streeting receive funding from private healthcare donors, and I did talk about that sort of thing a bit more on yesterday's live stream if you've not caught up with that yet. A great bit of investigative journalism from Dr. Julia Grace Patterson as well. Check it out, people. Mobius like the suggestion there. Yes, Diane Abbott. It was probably only on a matter of principle that she stood as Labour candidate at the last election, let's be honest. She didn't want to feel that she'd been forced out, I guess, as she has had to do since, is it 1980s? Is it 83, or was that Corbyn? But since the 80s, nonetheless. As the first female black MP, should we remind ourselves. So, this time around, well, I say this next time around, because it's still, God, a grueling 4 years away, potentially. I think she might consider either joining this new party or standing as an independent, but we'll see. Okay, so on we go. There's Keith. Ready for another PMQs. As always, it's my first time reaction. I've not heard one little bit actually about what was in it. I think the suspensions came after PMQs. I think the news of that came out after this session, so I'm not sure if that'll be raised. I'm fairly certain that that's the chronological order of events at least. But enough of my yakking. Right, where's Lindsay? Let's rock.
We now come to questions to Prime Minister Jacob Collier.
Question number one, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's always been support across this House for the United Kingdom fulfilling our obligations to Afghans who served alongside British forces. We warned in opposition about Conservative management of this policy, and yesterday the Defence Secretary said...
Sorry to cut in so early, people, but surely others, apart from myself, are aware of the events that happened roughly some 20-odd years ago in the Middle East, or did I just, you know, did that just get wiped out of the history books or something, where Afghanistan's concerned?
Out the full extent of the failings that we inherited. A major data breach, a super injunction, a secret route that has already cost hundreds of millions of pounds. Ministers who served under the party opposite have serious questions to answer about how this was ever allowed to happen. The chair of the Defence Committee has indicated that he intends to hold further inquiries. I welcome that and hope that those who were in office at the time will welcome that scrutiny. Mr. Speaker.
So this is the news that's come out apparently in secret under the Tory government, which is one reason that the likes of Lee Anderson have been so quiet about it, because he was chairman at the time of the Tories. So in secret, Afghans who fought alongside British forces way back in the early 2000s have been secretly brought here and reside here, but with the ongoing relentless, mitigation rhetoric that would be seen to be far too hypocritical, really, wouldn't it? So there's been a big furore over this, about the secrecy of it and quite a few other issues. Just filling you in on a bit of background. Yes, Davini, I was going to bring the scoreboard up as soon as we get a hit. So let's keep listening.
President Macron's state visit last week saw us secure historic agreements, coordinating our nuclear deterrence, a major investment in Sizewell C, and a landmark returns deal, a crucial next step in restoring order to our immigration system. Tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, I will host Chancellor Merz for further talks on our security and the economy. This morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Families in Burton and Uttoxeter are watching their smart meters like hawks and dreading that moment when their energy bill lands on the doorstep. So I welcome Labour's Warm Homes discount that is going to mean £150 off off energy bills
It's not 2-0. Sorry,
for
I just
millions
need
of
to change
people
that.
across this country,
It's
providing
not.
meaningful support in these difficult times.
that's
Can the
tough,
Prime
that's
Minister set out how this is going to help support families in my constituency and around the country?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank him for his question. I, of course, met his constituent Nicola in her kitchen, and she told me about how hard she's working to support her 3 children, but the past decade has let her down with false promises and public services are wrecked. Mr. Speaker, she told me about the difference.
We went over this on one of the streams. That was a setup. It was fake. I can't remember what her position was, but she's some sort of Labour affiliate. What was it now? God, I can't remember my own fucking reporting. But oh, that was it. And then the day after, it was supposed to be somewhere else, and it was clearly the same kitchen with the, you know, all the utensils and such on the and stuff on the wall in the same place. Very clearly, distinctly, the same kitchen. If that's what he's referring to, and it was totally bogus. It was just mentioning the Anderson again. It was as fake as that time when he got one of his friends to pretend not to know him when he was door knocking and canvassing. But he left his clip-on mic on, which he didn't realise while he was on the phone setting that one up. They got caught out, and now he's trying to gloat about it. Oh, come on. But when you've got nothing genuine, this is all you have is propaganda and lies.
The Warm Homes discount will make £150 off energy bills, and she had a meter, if I recall, in her kitchen recording how much energy she was using, and it would make all the difference to her, is what she told me. And I promise Nicola, my honourable friend, there's much more to come.
Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Bedell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the head of the OBR warned the government that higher and higher levels of taxes are...
And if you like this question, she'll probably ask it again at least another 3 times, so listen carefully.
...bad for growth. Does the Prime Minister agree?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you what's bad for growth. 14 years of a Tory government. That's what the stagnant growth for 14 years, leaving a £22 billion black hole.
There you go.
What we've achieved, Mr. Speaker, in the first quarter of this year is the highest growth in the G7, something we promised before the election. Investment of £120 billion into this country, which is a record in the first year of any government, and 3 trade deals, all of which will boost growth.
Mr. Speaker, he's talking about what he achieved. We just heard that inflation is up again, the worst in the G7. We left him with 2% inflation. We have a borrowing up, unemployment...
She repeats herself so much that they're going to have to rename it Prime Minister's Question.
...up. Taxes are up under his government. The fact is the Prime Minister doesn't get it, so let me tell him. His budget last year had high taxes. That's why the economy is contracting. But, Mr. Speaker, the government has said that they won't put up taxes for people on modest incomes. But they also seem incapable of explaining who is in that category. So can the Prime Minister clear up the confusion?
She said who the same way that Mr. Burns says it when he can't remember who Homer Simpson is. Who? Back a second.
But they also seem incapable of explaining who is in that category. So can the Prime Minister clear up the confusion and tell us what he thinks a modest income is?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think of the working people across this country who put in every day and don't get back what they deserve, and that's who we're working for. That's who we're fixing the country. The sort of people that work hard but haven't necessarily got the savings to buy themselves out of problems. And, Mr. Speaker, that's who we're working for, and that's why we put the national living wage up. That's an extra £1,400. The national minimum wage up, that's £2,500 a year. The triple lock, Mr. Speaker, that went up pension up £470.
There are doctors out there on £18 an hour, man. You're not even close to the £15 an hour that you yourself were campaigning for fast food chain workers some, 6-7 years ago now.
And of course, we're extending childcare, opening free breakfast clubs and free school meals. We know exactly who we're working for. She comes here every week and
Israel.
just talks the country down.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not talking the country down, I'm talking him down. I asked him what a modest income was. He answered what a working person is. He doesn't know what a modest income is, and even on working people, they cannot define it.
That's what, at least the second time that she's asked that, maybe the third. Red F is in the house. Big up, everyone. Brat, brat.
The Chief Secretary to the Treasury said that working people are people who don't get a payslip, but millions of self-employed people don't get a payslip. So are the self-employed next in line for a Labour tax rate?
The self-employed were the very people who suffered under their watch, repeatedly suffered under their watch, particularly, if I remember, during COVID, and when they didn't get the support that they needed. But she talks the country down, she cherry-picks. We have created, Mr. Speaker, since we've been in government, we've created 380,000 jobs, the employment rate is up, and inactivity is down, the complete opposite of what we inherited.
I don't know where these 3,000 jobs are coming from. Unemployment has gone up every month under his government. And perhaps he should speak to farmers and small business people and find out what those working people think about his government. But, Mr. Speaker, that's not all. We know the Chancellor is launching a review into pension contributions. It's as clear as day why this is. It is because the government is considering taxing them. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that a tax on pension contributions is a tax on working people?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we made absolutely clear manifesto commitments, which she asked me about last week.
Oh, if I had that manifesto in front of me right now, I might actually need to go to the hospital post-hernia. Mr. U-Turn wants to refer to his manifesto, Mr. Pledge Breaker, Mr. Promise Breaker. And I think I commented on someone's status earlier that following the suspension of these 4 MPs, we're probably going to see another party relaunch event in the next fortnight where he's going to make similar pledges that are complete garbage, and he's not going to follow through on whatever he's going to call this latest, rebirth, reinvention, relaunch of the party. The path to whatever steps towards this, our plan for crap. Just on and on it goes. Your manifesto, you tore up your own manifesto within weeks of taking office. And here we are a year later. And then they've just picked up every piece of that and torn that into smaller pieces as well. Manifesto. Oh, you'd think that was the last thing that he'd want to talk about, really.
I'm not going to write the budget months out from the budget. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of the decisions that we took to invest in our NHS, to invest in our public services, all the decisions that they opposed. And it's no wonder that after a first year of a Labour government, business confidence is a 9-year high. 9-year high. That's longer than she's been in government. Mr. Speaker, 384,000. I'm not withdrawing, I'm going to repeat. Business confidence is at a 9-year high.
Mr. Speaker, he says he's not going to write the budget, but his Chancellor is on the front of the Daily Mirror talking...
Oh, because it's liars versus liars. Eventually you're going to hear things like that. Business confidence is at a record high. And then someone else will turn around and say, oh, but millionaires are leaving the country in swathes and they're going to take all these jobs with them and all this. And at the end of the day, anyone who takes either of these clowns seriously is going to choose between one side or the other, but they're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea because they're both liars.
About what she's going to do on taxes, so why can't he do the same in the chamber?
This isn't the choice that we should have.
I asked him about pension contributions. The truth is he doesn't want to talk about pension contributions. It's all right for the Prime Minister. He has his own special law to stop his personal pension from being taxed. But let's be honest, Mr. Speaker, this is really about choices. My party knows that there is an alternative to tax rises. It's cutting spending, something that they are too scared or perhaps too weak to do. We offered to work with him to reform welfare and make meaningful...
What, when Starmer introduces a Tory-style austerity cut, they're all of a sudden so humanitarian, so sympathetic, so empathetic, and, oh, look what Labour's cuts will do to this portion of society, this demographic in society. Next minute, you haven't got the balls to make public cuts. She can't even keep her own story straight. This lady, well, neither can Keith most of the time. What a choice. It's the mad arguing with the insane.
Savings, meaningful savings. But his refusal sent a signal, and now the cost of borrowing is rising. The budget is in November, that is months away, and the markets may not wait. What will the Prime Minister be doing over the summer to get a grip on the cost of borrowing?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, they left the most incredible mess in the economy, and now they think that they can lecture others. I think
the kind of mess created when a neutron star collapses in on itself, creating a dense single point that stretches time and space, and there's no way past its event horizon, not even light can escape. I don't know what you'd call such a thing, but is that the sort of thing that he's referring to?
I think just last week their chairman said that they've done the necessary apologising for the 14 years of failure. They've done the necessary... I didn't hear an apology for the lowest living standards in living history. I didn't hear an apology for the £22 billion black hole. I didn't hear an apology for the Liz Truss mini budget. So maybe she should like to stand up and make that apology now.
That's too long.
Mr. Speaker, he's not doing... Yes. Mr. Speaker, he's not planning on doing anything this summer to fix the economy. The shadow of the last budget is hanging over the entire country. Just yesterday, only the Conservatives supported the two-child benefit cap because only the Conservatives believe in living within our means. Not Labour, not the Liberal Democrats, not Reform. But it's the end of term, Mr. Speaker, so why don't we go through his end of term scorecard? The economy is contracting. Inflation...
There's one new kid on the block, shall we say, that she neglected to point out there. More about that later on. But whilst we're here, I'd like to nominate this for one of the freeze frames of the week, if there is such an award.
Highest in the G7. Unemployment up every month under this government. Spending out of control. Borrowing costs more expensive than Greece. And this is just the first year, Mr. Speaker. The Labour Party should be ashamed of what it is doing to the country. Mr. Speaker, they can shake their heads as much as they like. The fact is, this summer, they're going to have to go to their constituents and explain why they've been making such a mess over the last 12 months. And isn't the case, Mr. Speaker, that the worst, given that this is just their first year, the worst is yet to come?
We're happily going to go to our constituents. We're going to tell them we promised 2 million extra NHS appointments and we delivered 4 million extra appointments. Mr. Speaker, I've got to upgrade that. It's now 4.5 million extra appointments. So we're going to tell our constituents that. Then we're going to tell them about the free school meals we're rolling about, the free breakfast clubs, the free childcare and school uniform costs. We'll tell them about that. And then when we've done that, we'll move on to affordable houses and tell them about the £39 billion we're investing. When we finish that, we'll tell them about the rail and road upgrades across the country, the £120 billion investment, and of course...
Yes, you're messing up a lot of things, so got quite a long list to go through, Starmer.
The 3 trade deals. And Mr. Speaker, we're only just getting started.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will never know exactly how much it meant to victims of the Troubles in Northern Ireland from right across society when he came...
It was a civil war. So just call it a civil war.
Looked them in their eyes and promised them that no murderer would be immune from prosecution. Can he tell us when the last time he spoke to the Taoiseach about the shared approach to this issue was, and can he recommit today to those victims to ensure that no murderer will be seen as above the law?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this is a really important issue. Can I begin by saying I have a profound respect and debt to our veterans who served.
Did anyone else immediately think of Benjamin Netanyahu there, or was it just me?
This is a complicated issue, and we've got to get this right. Veterans are at risk because of the false promises of the last government. Let's be clear. They made a false promise of immunity that does not exist. It was unlawful, it was struck down, and it was undeliverable. Their failed Legacy Act leaves veterans exposed with no settled process. We will create a secure, transparent system that protects veterans from unjustified persecution and gives victims, families and survivors the confidence that they need in the process.
Sir Ed Davey, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I...
Well, before Ed Davey starts, he's been in the news today, apparently calling out the BBC for not holding Nigel Farage to account enough for not reporting on things that they should be about him. And Ed Davey said that if the BBC aren't going to do it, then he's going to roll up his sleeves and damn well do it himself, perhaps in a canoe, perhaps whilst bungee jumping and juggling items that are on fire, who knows. But that's been around. I'll keep you up to speed with what might happen with that, because he's up to some really shady things behind the scenes, Farage. So, you know, we all know he's a shady character, but we probably don't know the half of it, if we're being honest.
Associate myself with the Prime Minister's words about the shocking Afghan data breach under the previous government kept secret for 3 years, and he will have our support if he decides to pursue a public inquiry. Mr. Speaker, I know the Prime Minister will agree that the shocking rise of anti-Semitism we have seen since Hamas's October the 7th terror attacks.
What?
What?
Just really? Come on. Do we have to drag it back? What? Oh. Name them. Name these rising attacks, for example. You know, it's not happening. I'm not going to buy that it is just because politicians, right-wing politicians, the people might think that Ed Davey's kind of, you know, oh, yeah, he's this, a lot of the main outlets will put him out to be a lefty, which he obviously isn't. And I'm just sick of it at this point, you know. It's a lie. It's a lie. Because, first of all, if it was happening, the pro-Israel propaganda outlets would be falling over themselves to get that out there. We'd have seen lots of videos and so on, so forth, whatever it is, to mull over. But we haven't. And the October the 7th thing, obviously, that's a load of BS. But like I said on yesterday's stream, and I reminded you, whenever anybody brings that up, just remember that Hamas were funded via Qatar, and the money originally came from Israel for that operation. So in a sense, almost a false flag operation to create an enemy, air quotes, to be able to attack the Palestinian civilian population with. That's the sick, twisted world that we're living in. And it's a reality that I wish Ed Davey would realise. But let's see what he's going to go into with this.
There's no place in our society. British Jews should not have to live in fear of hatred, racism and abuse on our streets or online.
I saw, sorry to interrupt so quickly again, but I do have to make this point. I saw an interview, I can't remember who was doing the interview, but there was someone pro-Israel, I don't know if they were an Israeli citizen, but pro-Israel, obviously they were Jewish, saying that they felt scared and they feel threatened and so on and so forth. And the interviewer simply said, you know, I'm really sorry, however, the facts are the facts, and they mean more than your feelings. You know, it's not even nearly on a par. You know, the facts are facts, and just because you feel unsafe does not mean that you are unsafe. Like I said, but where are these so-called attacks that they're supposed to be afraid of? And yes, there is online abuse, not just talking about physical attacks, but where are they? They're not there, unless you want to try and redefine what anti-Semitism is, of course, which you can't. Because to suggest that any criticism of Israel comes anywhere near the realm of that categorisation is pure insanity, Ed. Please don't insult our intelligence. This is, you know, this is liberals for you, in the British sense. Just the same as the Tories and now Labour. The Yellow Rosette Tory Party.
A new report from the Board of Deputies Commission on Anti-Semitism, chaired by Lord Mann and Dame Penny Mordaunt, has set out 10 recommendations to tackle this appalling scourge.
That's going to be reliable, isn't it?
Will the Prime Minister study this?
Penny Mordaunt, of all people. Yeah, that's really going to be reliable. I would have more confidence if a fucking 7-year-old had written it, to be honest.
Report, and will his government respond to it in full?
Prime Minister.
Yes, we will. And we must fight anti-Semitism wherever we find it, as we must fight all hate offences, crimes and incidents wherever we find them.
Trash.
Sir Ed David.
Can I thank the Prime Minister for that reply? I hope we will see more action
you stop
to tackle
this propagandic arse-licking game of tennis that's happening here? It's a sorry state of affairs, the state of British politics. You know, we weren't born yesterday, and we're sick of being spoken to like we are, and expected to swallow this bile, as though we're completely naive, politically illiterate, and aren't in possession of the facts.
Anti-Semitism. Returning to the Middle East now, Mr. Speaker, the world is looking on in horror at the scenes from Gaza. And now Netanyahu's ministers want to lock the whole population of Gaza into effectively a giant prison. A plan would...
It's going to be a concentration camp, Ed. Yeah? Even by their definitions, they said people will be concentrated together, some 600,000. Anyone outside of there, they've said, will be considered to be members of Hamas, and therefore you know what's going to happen. And they're forced into it, and if they try and leave, then they're going to get killed as well. So call it what it is, Ed. It's worse than prison. People can go to a toilet in prison. People can get a cup of water in prison, Ed. So don't call it that. A spade on my left eye.
That would clearly amount to ethnic cleansing, as former Israeli Prime Minister Olmert has said. Does the Prime Minister agree that this
that's even not the Penny Mordaunt's thing was bad. Oh, so we're going to take it on the word of, oh, let's see, Oh, a now retired Zionist liar. Great sources, Ed. Great people to put together reports. Penny Mordaunt. And wow. If I face palmed any harder, I'd knock myself out.
Utterly abhorrent and unacceptable. And will he make clear to the Israeli government that the UK will not stand idly by and will act, starting by sanctioning Prime Minister Netanyahu himself?
Prime Minister.
Well, I am appalled by these.
Wow. A few actual sensible words came out of his mouth there right at the end. He started off completely towing the Zionist line at the beginning, and then at the end said we should sanction Israel and Netanyahu. I think he's just trying to play both sides there, really. That was a weather vane journey.
Suggestions in relation to Gaza, just as I'm appalled by the reports of yet more civilians being killed whilst trying to access aid. So on both fronts, I'm appalled by what we are seeing and what we're hearing. We raise it regularly, as he would expect. In relation to the civilians being killed, I would expect them to be fully and transparently investigated with full accountability for any failings. And Israel must clearly put in place measures that properly protect civilians in line with international law. And
well, you know that they're not going to do that because they've been breaking it for years. You ignorant bastard. Honestly. He's not blind to it. He's more than aware of it. Of course, he's paid to act a certain way and talk a certain way. When it comes to other international conflicts, we can't wait to get boots on the ground, which we could do to help out this humanitarian crisis. But for some reason, in this instance, the man who talks about ramping up military spending, the country that has ridden roughshod across the world in pretty much nearly every country that you can name on every continent, all of a sudden finds itself impotent when trying to stop Israel committing war crimes, genocide, and using starvation and the withdrawal of food, water and medicine as a weapon. Mr. Director, former Director of Public Prosecutions, has somewhat of a selective memory of the law when it comes to Israel. Just yet again, we all know if this was, for example, Vladimir Putin, to make another modern comparison, that was the subject, it'd be all over it. It'd be all over it. A bottomless pit of money would be going Palestine's way. But it isn't. And everyone you can see in that shop is bought and paid for by the lobbies. From Reeves to Nandi.
That is the case we're pressing repeatedly. But we do also want to see, and alongside that, an immediate ceasefire so that the hostages, the remaining hostages, can be brought out and aid at volume and at speed can be got in, and a political process opened that, in my view, is the only way we're going to get a lasting solution.
Because someone get Liz Kendall a Red Bull. In fact, no, just keep her there in a completely comatose state. That's actually preferable to the conscious version.
Hand it back there.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, 4-year-old Eli Tester was killed in Rottenstall Cemetery when a memorial stone fell on him. All of Rosendale was shocked by this tragedy, so I hope the Prime Minister will join me in offering our deepest condolences to Eli's parents and family. And Mr. Speaker, families in Rosendale are also deeply concerned about reports that Reform-led Lancashire County Council are considering cuts to nursery funding. This would raise costs for working parents and might even force some nurseries to close. If this is an example of the sort of efficiencies that Reform are considering, then all of Lancashire, indeed all of us, should be worried. So would the Prime Minister join me in asking Lancashire County Council to think again?
Prime Minister.
Can I extend my deepest condolences to Eli's friends and family? And I do...
I hadn't actually heard of that, so a headstone or part of a memorial fell on his head and killed him, was it? That's shocking. I haven't heard about that.
Join him in urging the new Reform Council to think again and to change their mind on damaging cuts that hit children and young families. I have to say, my honourable friend is doing a much better job than his predecessor, the Conservative Party chairman under Liz Truss, who has now joined Reform, which proves once again, if you vote Tory, you get Reform, and if you vote Reform, you get the Tories. Whilst both of them are cutting service.
So did people who voted Labour, Keith. Oh, there he is in the right of the shot. Top right, you can see his red face, gammon face there. Looking quite hawkish from that angle as well. Yeah, of course. Just a reminder, as chairman of the Tories at the time, he presided over the transfer of those Afghan soldiers to the United Kingdom. And this is the Stop the Boats people. Don't think the knuckle draggers are going to like that one.
Services at home. We support families with free school meals, free breakfast clubs and extending free childcare.
Should Desmond swear?
Jack Straw told us that the 98
Desmond Swain. I forgot that he was still an MP. Desmond Swain. Okay, well, it's always something with Desmond. I was genuinely surprised though. Nearly spat my tea out. Yeah, I thought he forgot that he was still there. Still ticking. Oh God, this is going to be batshit crazy.
Places on us no expectation that we will remedy a declaration of incompatibility issued by a court. So the Prime Minister is wrong to say that the Legacy Act is struck down. But his own proposals, which open...
Yeah, Alan, quite relieved to hear that that's no relation. Not that I'm saying that the genetics are tainted, but, well, that was quite... Oh, the chat's frozen. I'll just sort that out, people.
The door to compensation to Gerry Adams and place in jeopardy our own servicemen present enormous difficulty to those of us who have served, increasingly on his own benches. Will he consider that?
Prime Minister.
Okay, that was quite a word salad to the extent that I didn't even understand the questions, so let's just go back and hear Desmond's query from the beginning. And the chat's back up. All lights are green, let's go.
And extending free childcare.
Should Desmond swear?
Jack Straw told us that the 98...
Jack Straw, okay. Jack Straw's been out for some time. He was the Defence Secretary. He was also the Member of Parliament for Blackburn, Lancashire. And all.
Act places on us no expectation that we will remedy a declaration of incompatibility issued by a court. So the Prime Minister is wrong to say that the Legacy Act is struck down. But his own proposals, which open the door to compensation to Gerry Adams and place in jeopardy our own servicemen, present enormous difficulty to those of us who have served, increasingly on his own benches. Will he consider that?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the failed Legacy Act was struck down by the courts in Northern Ireland. And that leaves veterans exposed. What we're doing is creating a secure, transparent system that protects veterans from unjustified persecution, but also gives victims, families and survivors the confidence that they need in the process.
Or war.
Yeah, essentially, as Desmond was alluding to, the people on the right have suggested that new legislation that protects veterans will somehow include some ne'er-do-wells, as they'd put it. So that's what all that was about.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Workers in Rochdale on the minimum wage received a much-needed pay rise this summer, thanks to this government. But honest businesses are being undermined by the menace of illegal working, particularly illegal working by illegal migrants from Iran and Iraq in bogus barber.
At least get your ties coordinated. I'm just distracted by the... I need to know what that badge is. When it's at full screen, I'm sure it isn't, but it looks like the flag of Cuba. No, it isn't. I don't know what that is. Carry on.
Shops and fake vape shops. So will the Prime Minister agree with me that we need to speed up the rollout of digital ID, particularly to help our police and immigration staff crack down on this grey market that ruins our high streets and undercuts the workers' pay of British workers?
Well, my honourable friend is an excellent champion for Rochdale and a strong supporter, I know, of his local police and trading standards teams. Since we came to power, Mr Speaker, we've ramped up enforcement raids on illegal working, arrests have gone up by 50%, and we're tightening the law on delivery drivers. Digital ID will help us tackle illegal working, and we're rolling out the use of e-visas to have digital records of immigration status and checks to allow on-the-spot checks of anybody's right to work.
James McCleary.
Severe pregnancy sickness, hyperemesis gravidarum or HG, can mean vomiting more than 20 times a day. It causes physical discomfort, acute malnutrition and severe dehydration, which often leads to hospitalisation.
Yeah, you should try watching PMQs, pal.
It has profound and long-lasting mental health consequences. Recently it was reported the woman took her own life after being denied access to the only licensed treatment, Zomvia. Tragically, her unborn child died too. The drug is licensed and available, yet women face a cruel postcode lottery to access it. Will the Prime Minister work urgently with the Department for Health to end this scandal so that every woman who needs Zomvia can get it wherever she lives? And will he meet with me and campaigners to look at this as a matter of urgency?
Prime Minister. Well, thank him for raising this really important issue, and obviously incredibly sorry to hear about the tragic case that he mentions. As he will know, the availability of this drug is regulated across the NHS by NICE, who make decisions on which treatments provide the best care for patients whilst maintaining value for money with the taxpayer. But I will make sure that he gets a meeting with the relevant minister to see what more can be done to get this treatment to patients who need it.
Navandu Mishra.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, in Stockport, approximately 20% of families live in social housing. After Stockport Liberal Democrat and Conservative councillors blocked the Greater Manchester Spatial Framework proposal in 2020, the need for social housing is even more critical. Far too many families are living in insecure, overcrowded accommodation, waiting years for a suitable family home.
Yeah, quickly come in and explain the geography. Technically, Stockport is in Cheshire, but it did come under Greater Manchester remit under some local laws, just to give you a heads up on the way things are around here.
I welcome Labour's record-breaking £39 billion investment into social and affordable housing, and I want to make sure that communities like mine in Stockport are prioritised. So can I ask the Prime Minister to confirm that these homes will be built, they will be affordable, and will he look again at suspending the right to buy?
Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, we are delivering the biggest boost to social and affordable housing in a generation, proud to do so. Our £39 billion investment will deliver around 300,000 sociable and affordable homes, with at least 60% of homes delivered for social rent. Mr Speaker, whilst we don't intend to remove the right to buy, which helps social tenants get on the property ladder, we're reforming the scheme to protect social housing stock and encourage councils to deliver more new homes.
God, how many delivers were in there going crazy? And never mind, it's ridiculous. You need, you need hundreds of thousands of pounds to get a house. It's the market that's the problem. It's greedy estate agents and the greedy market. You sort that out. And social housing. None of this, however many million new private homes bollocks you keep going on about. Council houses, man. Council houses.
Julian Smith.
Mr Speaker, a much better understanding of the particular needs of autistic and neurodiverse children is vital to expand capacity in mainstream education for SEND pupils.
Sorry, just because of the way the change logo is there, makes that person on the left look particularly suspicious and shadowy, wouldn't you say? It's in disguise. It's come in disguise as change. Very nefarious loitering going on there.
Can I urge him, as he looks at this bill over the summer, the SEND bill, to introduce mandatory training for all teachers and all staff on autism and neurodiversity?
Well, Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for that contribution, because parents and children have been failed far too often. We are committing an additional £1 billion into SEND, but there must be meaningful reform alongside it, and new teachers must have the appropriate training. So we're committed to reviewing, to working with parents and teachers, and we'll take away his suggestion. And I invite him and others across the House to work with us on this important reform, because I think this issue has been raised more than any other with me at Prime Minister's question. It's clearly a broken system. It needs reform, and if we can work together across the House to get...
Didn't you probably say this the last time and the time before that then, if it keeps coming up? Is this the world record for the longest time it takes to say that you're not going to do something about what he's asked you? Is that what he's going for?
Get it right. I think that is the least we owe to parents and children across the country. Thank you.
Blocker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I commend the Prime Minister for his work in tackling arbitrary detention of British citizens abroad and warmly welcome the creation of a special envoy. The Prime Minister will know of the anguish of the families of Jimmy Lai, Ryan Cornelius, Abdel Fattah, Jagtar Singh Johal and others. So can he tell us when he anticipates the appointment of the envoy, and will they have real powers like their counterparts in Canada and the United States to help bring our people home?
Prime Minister.
Well, can I start by thanking him for his work on the APBG, championing the plight of British nationals facing the most difficult circumstances overseas. We do routinely raise these cases with international counterparts, as he would expect, and we're deeply committed to getting them home and united with their loved ones. As part of strengthening support for British nationals overseas, we are working at pace to get the envoy role set up, and I'll make sure that he's kept updated in relation to that.
Blake Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Government plans for English devolution and NHS reform suggest that integrated care board should align.
What, we're going to devolve from ourselves?
With new strategic authorities. What? The government's plan for Bedfordshire won't currently achieve this. So what assurances can the Prime Minister provide that local NHS reorganisation will be good value for money, improve local accountability and deliver the healthcare services needed to serve my constituents in rural mid-Bedfordshire, including the much-needed GP surgery in Wixhams?
Prime Minister.
The points you make about good value for money and accountability are really important. They're embedded in the work we're doing with the NHS at the moment, which is improving under our watch, not only the waiting lists, but in other respects. The 10-year plan for the NHS, which is intended to ensure that the NHS is fit for the future.
Oh, yeah, you can't vote us out next time because we've got the 10-year plan. Yeah.
Has a number of principles, including principles of local accountability.
Brandish.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On the 11th of June, Alexander Dennis announced that it was planning to stop bus manufacturing in Scotland. My honourable friend from Falkirk and I have both met with the workers, the trade unions, the company and both UK and Scottish Government ministers to see how closure can be averted. Alexander Dennis needs commitment of orders for 2025 and 2026, and elected mayors are ideally placed to do this. Our industrial strategy is right when it says where things are made and by whom matters. So, can the Prime Minister assure Alexander Dennis and the workers that he believes bus manufacturing should have a future in Larbert and Falkirk?
Prime Minister.
I'm grateful to him for raising this, and I'm deeply concerned. It is a deeply concerning time for the workers and their families in Falkirk. I do agree, and we are working with mayors and local leaders to develop a pipeline of future orders for zero-emissions buses, and that's an important aspect here. And the Minister of Local Transport is hosting an urgent meeting of the bus manufacturing expert panel.
Already got that up here in Manchester, and £2 singles on the B network. Get with it, Keith. Keep up.
Mr. Speaker, while Labour mayors in England are ordering Scottish buses, the SNP are ordering buses from China. Just like they ordered ships from Turkey and Poland, not Scottish shipyards.
Oh, no.
The SNP...
Commie buses. Quick. They're probably bugged. Everyone run in panic.
Should be backing Scottish workers.
Graham Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I begin by warmly congratulating the Prime Minister on his first year in office, acknowledge that the Labour manifesto was beautifully written, deeply moving,
And like that other great blockbuster of hope and redemption, The Salt Path, a total pack of lies. With joblessness, inflation and debt ballooning, his personal ratings collapsing, and his backbenchers on a work to rule, could the Prime Minister... Could the Prime Minister recommend?
Come on, let's get on with the question.
Could the Prime Minister recommend a summer recess read in order to take all our minds away from the calamitous journey on which he and the Chancellor have embarked?
Okay, so some people want to recall Parliament during summer recess, which would be somewhat unprecedented. But it's basically, I mean, this is what Reform want, for example. It's not for good intentions.
I think most of the backbenchers are already on their summer recess, looking at the benches opposite Mr. Speaker. We are very proud of our manifesto. It was a very successful manifesto, giving a landslide victory, and now we're very proud to be implementing it.
Implementing your manifesto.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
I don't have the thing to hand, but you remember the one with the list of pledges with the crosses through every single one. Every single one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And let us be clear in this House. Israel is starving Palestinian children. That is a war crime.
Damn right!
Israel is killing Palestinian children as they queue for food. That is a war crime.
Damn
Our
right!
government quite rightly imposes thousands of sanctions on Russia for its war crimes in Ukraine. How many more horrors must we witness before the Prime Minister acts with the same scale of sanctions against Israel to stop this genocide? Don't Palestinian lives matter?
Hear, hear.
Damn right!
Absolutely. We've had to wait such a long time for such a fantastic question. And let's see what Starmer's got to say. You could also see Richard Bergen to the left there, nodding along.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier, I'm appalled by reports of more civilians being killed in Gaza, particularly when they are trying to access aid. And each of those incidents does need to be fully and transparently investigated, with accountability for any failing.
Not by Israel themselves. Surely there'll be an independent investigation. The amount of times that Starmer or David Lammy or whoever, Hamish, comes up to this dispatch box and says something along those lines. I'm just completely sick of the inaction at this point. And especially because Israel are allowed to mark their own homework so many times.
That, of course, has to be alongside the ceasefire that is desperately needed and we're working hard with others to achieve, to release all of the hostages that remain, but also to protect civilians and get much more aid at speed and volume into Gaza.
Lincoln John.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I can see why you call these sessions Prime Minister's questions and not Prime Minister's answers.
If it carries on, there will be no more. Come on, Lincoln John.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Following the magnificent success of the England cricket team earlier on this week, and the triumphal return of Mr. Jofra Archer, would the Prime Minister agree that what he needs to get from his ministers over the next 12 months is more pace and less spin?
Prime Minister.
My ministers have...
I hope whatever fucking constituency you live in are proud of you for wasting these moments to ask that. Not that they've got any points that they want to get raised in Parliament, and not that that's a easy process to happen to get a constituency issue raised. Yeah, I think you've even outdone Desmond Swayne on that one.
Delivered on the NHS, on the economy, on rail, etc. He needs a break.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Come on, you know, gets to the point where none of them are taking it seriously anymore. This is just the circus that we all know it is. This pantomime.
Conservative governments failed to invest in the North East transport infrastructure, whilst the Labour government is already changing that with the £1.8 billion recently secured for the region. Upgrading Moor Farm and Seaton Burn roundabouts can build on that, unlocking growth, and it's supported by local people and businesses. Does the Prime Minister share my disappointment that rather than support my campaign for upgrades, the Conservative leadership in Northumberland County Council are actively undermining my lobbying efforts to deliver this game changer for the North East?
Prime Minister.
She's doing a superb job for Northumberland, and I'm happy to set out what we've delivered. Over £400 million of funding for Northumberland County Council this year. That's a 5.8% increase this year, Mr. Speaker.
Sorry, Keith, you're going to have to speak up. I can't hear you over the sound of those lips on your arse as we sit through the latest planted question. Even Lisa Nandy looks bored to tears, and that's Rachel Reeves's job.
An 80% increase in the number of homes starting construction in her area, a near £30 million increase in funding for Northumbria Police, and 14 free breakfast clubs in Northumberland, supporting over 3,000 children. That's the difference a Labour government makes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. During my meetings with guests on the Homes for Ukraine scheme in my Newton Abbot constituency, they are telling me that they are worried about their visas running out, even with the 18-month extension. They see reports of Ukrainians being refused asylum in the UK since it's said to be safe to return to Ukraine, even while Putin's missiles explode in Ukraine cities in record numbers. Some of their children are working through 2- or 3-year education courses and are frightened of having to leave. Will the Prime Minister meet with them and myself to hear their plight and offer them some hope in this uncertain and dangerous world?
Prime Minister.
Is he about to tell them that, well, good news, they're off to Rwanda?
Thank him for raising this, and we're proud to have offered or extended sanctuary to over 300,000 Ukrainians and their families throughout the visa scheme since the invasion in 2022. We do need to provide certainty and security for Ukrainians in the United Kingdom, and we will provide an additional 18 months permission to remain in the UK and continued rights to live, work and study here as well.
James Brett.
Thank you, Mr. Okay, so just to be clear, Afghans and Syrians coming in, countries that we've been, Iraqis obviously coming in, countries that we've been militarily involved with over recent decades. That's bad. Ukraine good. Other people, oh God, I can't keep up. Hotels, expensive, bad people, boats. But Ukraine good. Is that the way? Is that the way it works? What about Palestinians? Could we set up a similar facility for those? No? Okay.
Speaker, in 2017 I led a select committee inquiry that warned of an emerging disaster in SEND. Those warnings went unheeded by the Conservatives, who left behind a broken system, which even they have admitted since is lose, lose, lose. Can the Prime Minister confirm that this Labour government's rebuilt SEND system will be shaped by listening to the needs of SEN families, never again ignored, but served in the best traditions of a Labour government?
Prime Minister.
Well, he's right, and I think there's general agreement across the House that the system is broken, just like almost everything they touched, which was broken at the end of 14 miserable years.
I completely agree, Keith, and that's why I'm fully endorsing the following proposals. First of all, a return to democratic socialism. We'll get there first, and then, of course, the revolution comes later. Don't worry about that, people. Also, a major revolution in terms of action on climate change, and along with that, the dissolvement of the monarchy, and also a fairer and more representative voting system. And first past the post is first out the fucking door. How's about that?
It doesn't work for parents.
And nationalise it all. Nationalise everything. Not fucking sausages. Sausages.
And it lets down children, and we will reform it. We're already investing an additional £1 billion, but we do need a system that truly supports every child. We're developing proposals, and I want to work across the House in order to get the right outcome.
Final question, Pippa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yet again, we're suffering record-breaking heat waves and drought, which are worrying people in my constituency of South Cambridgeshire, which are both the fastest-growing and the most water-stressed area in the country. The proposed Fens Reservoir is important, but will only provide water for the already ambitious house-building plans, not the thousands of new homes that the government proposes. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that the water crisis in Greater Cambridge is a deal-breaker for the government's growth plans, and will he help me urgently convene a ministerial roundtable with the Cambridge Water Scarcity Group?
She's right to draw attention to the drought and the question more generally of reservoirs. It is shocking that a new reservoir hasn't been built for a very, very long time, not at all in the previous 14 years. We are rebuilding now, and we're doing that alongside the infrastructure and housing that we also need to build, and we'll work across the House on that.
We'll let the front benches change over.
Well, that was that. That's your PMQs and a victory for Blackhole that saved itself from defeat. It appears that change got suckered in last week. So another oh, come on, it wasn't that bad. Phil? That concludes the session. And as was pointed out in the chat just a few moments ago, that's the last PMQs before summer recess, I believe. Like I said, some people are trying to bring it back, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So, congratulations to Black Hole. And yeah, well, what a session. Desmond Swain popping his head up. A really great question towards the end concerning Palestine. There was also that very contradictory question/statement from Ed Davey as well. So yeah, they'll all be off to the subsidised bar, as you say there, Doc. There are quite a few of them. They're in the House of Commons. The drinks are on us. Involuntarily, of course. Right, people, what did you make of that session? Let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching back later on. A few other stories to get into in just a moment. I'm just going to have a couple of moments break here to top up my drink and such. But in the meantime, make sure that you've hit the thumbs up button on the stream left us a comment in the comments section as well. That really helps. I'll be right back with you. Moving on to today's story about the 4 suspended MPs. Okay people, and we're back. Let's see what's happening in the chat. Nicola, you're wondering who on earth voted for that idiot Desmond Swain? Yeah, he's from the... which one is it? It'll come to me. But they could put a hat stand with a red rosette on it up for election and they'd still vote it in, you know what I mean? Cotswoldsy, home counties, kind of places. Good point there as well, Jacqueline. At this rate, Keith will have to suspend everyone out of the Labour Party before 2029. Yeah, and we'll get into that now, actually. So, they made the correct moral decision. They didn't think that they could look the constituents in the eye and say that they'd voted for the welfare reform. 4 of them have been suspended. Neil Duncan-Jordan, Brian Leishman, Chris Hinchcliffe and Rachel Maskell have had the whip removed. 3 other Labour MPs, Rosanna Allen Khan, Bel Ribeiro, Adi and Mohammed Yassin have been stripped of their trade envoy roles. Just a reminder, 47 MPs voted against the cuts. This is very thin-skinned from Starmer, isn't it? I won't read too much out of this article. I do quickly want to say though, he really isn't addressing the core of the problem, that is the dip in popularity. It's policies like this one that are hitting him in the polls. It's policies like this one that are causing mass exoduses away from the party. It's also enabling reform. Let's not forget that Labour stood down their candidate in Clacton to make sure that Nigel Farage could win that seat and become an MP for the 7th time of trying? So this and all the other myriad of policies that we've had in the last 12 months that have just put further burdens on either ordinary working people, as they'd say, or the disadvantaged and disabled, with little to no action on the super rich, little to no action on the climate crisis. It sucks. So those are the 4 who were suspended. He's just so weak, isn't he? He's not gonna remove the whip, you know, he's not going to suspend his way out of this. I'm not going to speculate on the likelihood of any of the four of these joining another party, whatever that might be, or becoming an independent MP permanently at this time, even if they did get the whip reinstated. But we'll see. So that shows, again, the kind of party that they wanted to get involved with. And we warned people that this was going to happen.
Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that? Did you hear that, eh? That's what I'm on about.
And now, take a look at where we are. Yeah, more about the new party. They're just reminding us in the article that Zara Sultana said Labour was punishing MPs who opposed cuts that would push 800,000 disabled people into poverty. Appalling. So if you vote against that, yeah, those kind of policies, any sign of sympathy, any sign of empathy, and your privileges are removed. Very democratic society. However, people, I made mention earlier that I did have some good news. Yeah, it's not going to be made headline on the BBC news pages, that's for sure. Check this out. I hope that you're as pleased as I am about this. It all ties into the new left party, whatever that's going to be called as well. Just wait for this to load up. 1 second. Oh, it's on a bookmark, it's not a clip, of course. You're going to love this if you weren't aware of this breaking news today. And we're bringing in a poll as well. So people, just prepare for this. So, in no other constituency than Holborn St Pancras, yes, Keir Starmer's very own seat. Take a look at this, people. The new Corbyn Sultana party, New Left Party, is projected to win Holborn St Pancras. With 33.4%, Labour dropping 21%, just under 21%. In second place, Reform in third. And then 8% Bar from the Greens after that. Take a look at this. Wouldn't that be amazing? Let's just go a bit closer to the graph. You could see the clear descending red line of Labour there. The line overtaking it just below the sort of light purple indigo type colour. And those two quite a fair way ahead of Reform, who would come third. And this is without a manifesto, without a name, and so on and so forth. Wouldn't this be? I mean, it is one poll quite early on in proceedings, but yeah, I like the look of that, people. I certainly like the look of that. And yeah, it's another find out now survey should note that as well. But it looks pretty. It does look pretty. That would be one of the greatest examples of political karma in the UK that I can think of. It could probably only be succeeded by Starmer and Tony Blair and Peter Peter what's his face ending up in The Hague, and then behind bars, of course. Because it turns out that friends of mine might be in prison for holding up placards while there are still literal war criminals roaming around out there with a lot of money in their several bank accounts as well. That certainly seems to me like a social injustice, if ever there were one. Yeah, JCP is Jeremy Corbyn Party. That's what it's being referred to at the moment. But a few different, you know, the Corbyn Sultana Party, New Left Party. They really, well, we'll know when they're ready. We'll have a name. How about some suggestions, though, for a name? I'll just think of one or two off the top of my head. Let's think. The Turbo Lenin Moscow Dynamo. No, I'm not joking. Or just the fuck you Starmer Party. Could they get away with that one? I think I mentioned yesterday, I heard that the word ascent, something like that had been getting thrown around. Here's a suggestion for party name. How about Rise the fuck up? Maybe. Just quickly hit the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts about this one in the chat as well, people, and in the comments if you're watching back later. Give us your opinions. Oh, that's one thing that this also addresses as well. I noticed a lack of polling for Andrew Feinstein, the independent. There's no independent candidate on there, so it does look like he's officially fully gone over to join JCP, New Left Wing Party, whatever you want to call it. And would you look at that? That's another find out now one. Is that new today? UK seat projection based on polling from just under a week ago. Yeah, 47 seats for this new party. Is that can't be right. That can't be right. Look at this. Okay. Here's another one. This one puts Labour with just 24 seats. I double checked there. At first I thought, oh, so are you talking about, is this maybe a certain region or Scotland or something like that. No. So let's see, that would put the Corbyn Party in third. Okay, so Reform 414 seats. Then Lib Dem 54. And then you'd have the Jeremy Corbyn Party, whatever you want to call it. Then SNP. And then the Tories. And then Labour. 24 seats? Well, I know it's going to be bad. I'm not sure it's going to be that bad for Starmer. It's got fewer seats than a minibus. Yeah, I've heard that one said about Reform before. Good one, though. I'm not too sure. And the Greens would lose a seat. I don't know about that one. That's in the comments. See what else is going on in the comments. That's someone's posted an article apparently saying where the data's come from. Might take a look at that, but not now on the live stream. But stop the press. There's a projection for Hove and Port Slade, everyone. I know this is the you know. Nothing against Hove and Port Slade, just a bit of a random thing to put in there. Someone says, sweet effing justice and Starmer going to The Hague. Oh, I censored myself there. I've dropped a few F-bombs tonight. Apologies for the language, but I just get so vexed at PMQs. Great stuff. Great stuff. More of that, please. That would be the best one. You know, if you could ask someone hypotheticals a few years ago, or wouldn't you love to see Corbyn form a new party and they win in Starmer's constituency, everyone would be like, oh yeah, but that, you know, talk about a pipe dream, talk about fantasising. No, this looks like becoming reality. Take a bit of that. Let's check out matters in the Middle East quickly, people. Of course, Israel attacking Syria today. Just before I came to you on the stream, there were some reports coming in that there were missiles on the way to Israel from Yemen as well. This is the live beep feed. I'll just see if any of that comes up. You've probably seen the clips as well that the strikes in Damascus came as live broadcasters were close by, and another news reporter running out of the studio because we saw this course in the recent so-called 12-day war between Iran and Israel as well, didn't we? So ministry buildings have been hit, military HQ has been hit, 3 people have been killed, 34 have been injured. Again, another serious breach of international law by Israel. And they just do what they want at this point, pretty much. Someone who I follow on social media earlier asked the question, so is just randomly attacking capital cities more or less okay now? You know, is that the way it is? And when I first heard about this, it was an audio interview clip, and I think it came from the Beeb. And they just casually said, oh yeah, it's because of there's this very small minority community in Syria that are known as the Druze, and some of them fight in the IDF, and Israel is saying that they're under great threats or oppression. You know, so that's why it's happening. And they were just so casual about it, as though it's, I don't know, an over-the-garden fence discussion about why they've decided to get a new shed or something like that. And then the interviewer or the other person who they're speaking to just sort of like, yeah, that's it, you know. We're literally talking about attacking another country's capital city so casually, breaking international law so casually now at this point. Because day after day, and it's always Israel, it's Israel, Israel, Israel. Whether it's happening to Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, Iran, how many other countries are we going to have to add to that list? Maniacs. They're the biggest threat to world peace at the moment by far. Whatever you say about other conflicts. We've got a raid, I believe. Yeah, Kevin Logan, viewers. Thanks for joining us. Shout out to Kevin Logan. I know that a lot of regular viewers here are already familiar with him. If you're not, do check him out. Fantastic stuff. Thanks again for the raid, Kev. You're all very welcome here, people. Thanks for joining us. Please hit the like button as you come and join us on the stream. We've done PMQs, we're just going on to a few other stories. This is the Brews at 10 on my left eye. I'm your host, Lefty. Thanks for being here tonight. We talk about politics and society from a left-wing POV. So we'll just talk about the Syria strikes right now. And everybody please give a warm welcome to Kevin Logan Raiders as they join us in the chat. Right, let's see what's happening in Damascus. Look at these scenes. Entire buildings ripped out. I'm just going to turn the background music down a bit. I did see some footage earlier of the strikes, and of course those broadcasters who had to flee as well, as they reported live. Nothing in this news feed about Yemen attacks at the moment. Syria wouldn't be in much of a state to militarily respond to this kind of thing, so it would make logical sense that perhaps on their behalf Yemen might launch a missile strike. They've of course been carrying out the blockade to stop boats getting in and out of Israel, very successfully as well, actually, even managing to deter the United States Navy. But no mention of their involvement thus far. So who's it going to be tomorrow? Or do they just sort of stick a pin in the map? Say, oh, it's Syria today. And then sometimes it's an accident, sometimes it isn't. Like we had the other day with the, you know, oh, it was a technical error. That's why there are killing so many people. Terrible.
Whoopsie daisy!
And a lot of those strikes came close to where, of course, the new installed leader of Syria lives. He actually apparently believed he was under some sort of assassination attempt. And what you've got, obviously, he was installed by the United States of America. And America's relationship with Israel is, of course, more than apparent. So, they're both being played. This is the thing. He's not been the leader of Syria for very long, but he's already finding out what it takes, you know, to sell your soul to the devil. And now we're in this incredibly convoluted, messed up situation where former enemies are now friends and so on and so forth. We talk about ISIS being installed as the leaders of Syria. And now they're fighting it out with Israel. But they're both beholden to America. So then the world looks to the bewigged orange one, Trumpelstiltskin. What was it? The pumpkin spiced president. Not a great situation to be in. Thanks for throwing up the flags and watermelons in the chat, people. Appreciate that as always. But speaking of Palestine, obviously, there's been a lot of talk of protests, proscription of certain groups. Take a look at this clip from Kent, where police arrested a protester, a small group of protesters, showing solidarity with Palestine under this new ridiculous prescription law.
What's your intention here tonight? My intention is to wave this flag and keep Palestine in the public consciousness right now.
So do you support any prescribed group?
I do not support any prescribed group.
Okay.
I support a free Palestine and the end of genocide.
The way that you...
So he's got a flag. This was mentioned in the original post of this. He's just there with a flag. I think there is another sign that says Free Gaza, something like that. There's literally nothing that mentions Pal Action whatsoever. He's got the Palestine flag there. And now this.
Behaving at the moment would lead me to believe that you may be. Give me suspicion
What?
grounds to believe you could be.
What suspicion?
In these situations, you have to say under what power, really. Somewhat experienced in these matters, but yeah, under what power would this interest the law?
You've got a sign that says Free Gaza, holding a Palestinian flag, and I have a sign that says Israel is committing genocide.
My colleagues explained the support of this, mentioning
This, you know, we won't say what it is.
freedom of Gaza, Israel, genocide, all of that.
Yeah.
All will come under prescribed groups, which are terror groups that have been...
That's not the way the law works. That is not the way that legislation has been put in whatsoever. This is ridiculous. Straight away, we're seeing the stormtroopers out there. They're just going to grab anyone? And I'm going to make another analogy when we get to the end of this video. But this is ridiculous. And bargain bin mustache here certainly needs to realise that that's not what the legislation meant. Yeah, if the signs mentioned Pal Action, then there might be grounds, of course. That's what the people who held up those placards in Manchester, London and Cardiff last weekend knew that they were doing in their sitting action with those placards. But this is something completely different, and you've either got an agenda or you're as thick as mince. or a tragic combination of both.
Dictated by the government, all right, which we have suspicion to suggest that you're supporting, based on your actions here in the city with the flags and the posters that you've got up, right? If you don't provide us with your name and address, those are necessities for us to arrest you for offences against the Terrorism Act for being part of a prescribed group. Express an opinion or belief that is supportive of a prescribed organisation. Now that you have done.
But that's ridiculous. You could end up arresting half the country
I didn't
for
make
that.
the legislation. If you're
Name the group. Name the group and cite where that group has been mentioned verbally, on signage. Where is it? Name this group, because let's not forget there were 2 other far-right neo-Nazi groups that were prescribed at the same time as PAL Action. So let's hear it. But no, this is bullshit.
found down the high street later on, you'll probably find yourself arrestable for that offence. Because you've been warned not to.
So I can never do this again in Canterbury, in Kent.
It's an offence.
But now I can never hold this in public ever again.
Holding a flag, if you had just a flag, we'd probably say, be careful what you do.
Free Gaza?
Free Gaza, which is supportive
What
of
about that?
action, and a sign of Israel committing genocide would be in line with
what you're doing is giving us suspicion. We only...
They are literally reporting a crime with that sign. That's how messed up this is. They are reporting the biggest crimes that you can imagine. Things that get remembered for decades, for centuries. These are the type of crimes that live in history. Okay? They are highlighting that, and they are talking to people who enforce the law and essentially being arrested for pointing out that there is a crime so huge, so massive, on the biggest of scales happening, and they don't want to do a damn thing about that. There was another organisation, I believe they were based in Ireland. Do you remember these people from a year or 2 ago? They were going into supermarkets and pointing out that they were assisting with war crimes by selling Israeli products and part of the BDS movement. Just sort of hark back. So, I mean, sorry. I get lost for words sometimes. It's just, I can't believe that there's, you know, such times to live in. So what, he's about to mention that, according to him, they only need to fulfill 2 out of 10 criteria to give them the power of arrest. What is this fascist shit?
2 out of 10 to give us suspicion that you support a Palestinian.
Amazing.
So he was arrested. He was arrested, I believe. Canterbury in Kent. Nothing else is happening in that area that might, you know, there was no other crime reported in the entire county throughout the day. The police didn't have anything better to do than arrest people on bullshit, trumped up charges, and that's exactly why we warned against legislation like this and other anti-protest legislation as well. And I think that's very shameful. So many smirks now. With this happening outside of the Met so far, apart from Cardiff. The arrests were made by the Met in London and Manchester. So draconian. Yeah, really can't believe it. Almost lost for words. I'll move on. In a moment, I've got a short article which sort of, well, it does concern YouTube itself actually. Who's this from? It's Declassified UK. Check this one out, people. UK government secretly paid for foreign YouTube stars for propaganda. So Declassified say media agency Zinc Network has a contract to recruit social media influencers from across Europe. I'll get off the bat. First off the bat by saying, of course, I'm not one of these people. There's David Lammy, Foreign Secretary. So let's see some of the main points. The videos are secretly funded and signed off by Lammy. NDAs ban influencers from disclosing government involvement. Contractor has been accused of election interference in Slovakia against left-wing candidates. So this has been a 3-year investigation from Declassified again, who do great work. Check them out. And they found out that Whitehall officials give feedback on each video before the influencers are allowed to publish them. The work is coordinated by London-based media agency Zinc Network Limited on behalf of the Foreign Office in a deal worth nearly £10 million of public money. Not a bad chunk of change. It was co-founded by former Tory spin doctor. The company has won lucrative contracts from the UK, United States and Australian governments, becoming a major player in Western influence operations. Zinc has also previously been exposed for secretly setting up Muslim news platforms on Facebook as part of the government's counter-extremism prevent strategy. But the company's foreign influence tactics can now be exposed thanks to whistleblowers, leaked documents, freedom of information disclosures and analysis of dozens of LinkedIn profiles. Well, how's about that, people? One former employee has said that the campaign amounted to interference in a sovereign country's internal affairs. The source said the company's executives see the world through their British eyes, adding it looked like dictating the foreign will. On at least one occasion, multiple staff members raised ethical concerns about a particular influencer campaign, but a source said that senior managers at Zinc didn't quite understand why there was an issue. What's the deal? You know. It's just lies and government propaganda. You know, nothing bad ever came from that, did it? Ah, such tossery. So in the past, YouTube has pledged to alert viewers to state-sponsored content, but no such disclosures are made on Zinc Network videos. So don't watch any of that crap, just stick with My Left Eye, Kevin Logan and others. £9,450,000 the contract's worth. For almost 2 years, the Foreign Office tried to prevent it from being released under an FIA, leading to 3 separate reprimands from the ICO, who ruled in favour of transparency each time. So they tried to bury this, they tried to cover it up. No doubt David Lammy himself must have been personally involved in this. This is all his department, this was all on his watch, or at least it has been for the last 12 months, so in half of that time. Quite shameful. A great expose piece there from Declassified UK. Highly recommend checking out the website.
Damn right!
Okay, people, just a bit of self-promotion now as I say another thank you to all the members. Please do make sure you hit thumbs up on the stream. Leave us a comment if you're watching back later on as well. Thanks so much to all of the members. Currently at 107 out of the target of 250. Really appreciate everybody renewing your memberships, gifting to other people, helping to grow this community that we've got here. Brilliant stuff. Thanks a lot for all of your contributions. I can see quite a few of you in the chat this evening. Other ways you can contribute are with super thanks, which are open, super chats. Also, we've had super chats this evening. Thanks for those. There's a Buy Me a Coffee page as well. If you don't have access to those aforementioned means, then check out the link to Buy Me a Coffee in the description of the stream. Thanks a lot, everybody. Solidari-Tea. The hour draws late, so I'm drawing towards the end of the stream now. Just gonna have a look for a raid. I know that some of you have already been raided once, but why not stick around? Let's see where we could be going into. We have this space again, who we raided into last night. Yeah, because that's a stream. The other option was the old Al Jazeera. So we'll go with this space, why not? Join our friends across the pond. And I know that some of the members on this channel are actually mods over there as well, so it's a small world. But an ever-growing world of socialists. Great stuff. Okay, people, that's just about it from me. So I'll see you over on this space. Make sure that you hit thumbs up when you get there as well. Give us a shout out in the chats if you're watching back on a replay. Then take care. I'll be catching up with you on another Brews at 10 pretty soon. Good night, everyone. My Left, I'll be seeing you pre-Palestine.